We start with an aggressive black man smacking up a small defenceless woman. And before you can say, blimey, Chris Brownshaw gets around a lot these days. Cousin John totally bollocks Clown for clowning about with Hood's hood, and then squares up to the tiny 5-foot Ironheart bird and says that magic cloak thing is super dangerous, bro, and also not your property, bitch. Said Hood fella, aka Parker, then turns up to squash the beef and brief his team on the new heist he's got planned. Turns out the new target is Hunter Mason, who runs a company called Heirloom, and who's totally driving local farmers out of business or some shit. And his security is so tight that it's fitted with super sensitive metal detectors, so Riri won't be able to use her super suit, and John can't bring his stabby throwing knives along.
Lame.
A little later, and said Riri Bird tries to pretend that she ain't doing any of this for the crime and violence, and more just for the cold hard cash and taking down wrong'uns. So she's way better than these low-level scumbags what love doing a bunch of bad things for the thrill and ever-raining cash stacks. But Parker says, nice try, love, but you're just as shiesty as the rest of us. And I'm sure I saw you straight up rob a sleeping honky fella on a train last epi, so get the frig off your high horse and shut up about it already. Anyway, after buying Xavier some new expensive headphones and needing him to question where the fuck she's getting all the money from when she was broke AF last week, that cuckboy Joe fella from last epi turns up at her gaff and hilariously gets roasted to his face by her mum. Turns out Riri has inspired him to start designing super cool new tech. Now he has newfound confidence after standing up to his neighbour buddy by murdering her flowers or some shit, and now needs her help in making them a reality, yo. And initially reluctant, given she ain't got time for this crap, he stands up for himself again and hilariously blackmails her by threatening to tell her mummy all about how she stole a suit of armour from her college and now uses it to do a bunch of crimes for shits and giggles.
Nice.
Later, the attention-seeking robo-stalker what lives in her bedroom totally refuses to follow orders and do her one job of assisting, given she's meant to be an AI assistant, until she starts treating her as a human being, despite being a kind of sort of digitised ghosty ghoulie spook. And Natalie demands that she hang out with her, or else she'll totally stop upgrading the bloody suit.
So good for you, girl. Go on.
And poor Riri just can't believe she just got blackmailed twice in 5 minutes. And Sue makes a necklace version of Nat's projection unit in it, so she can then come outside any time she wants to hang around her like a bad smell. Which they totally do, and after returning to Gary's old repair shop, Riri suffers some more PTSD flashbacks of the night they were all attacked, and where 2/3 of them ended up getting deaded real good and proper.
Damn!
Upon returning home, she finds a local filth at her door, asking her about the off-screen death of that useless fuck-up bloke who she replaced on Parker's team, and soon suspects that this Parker fella with the magical cape and who shoots up cops is a right bleeding wrong'un, and she and her family could be next if they get on the wrong side of him and stuff. So she comes up with a plan to grab a sample of his cloak during the heist tonight when he's distracted, to then go and run some tests and shit. And because she can't bring her suit inside the site because of all the metal detector alarms, she conveniently gets to work on the blueprint that Joe brought over earlier, which just so happens to be conveniently exactly what she needs to sneak in and cover up some bionic enhancements.
Actually, it's going to be super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Later, she arrives at Joe's place to find he's gone full transhumanist and has now tried to merge his biometrics with machines or some shit. And just can't believe this nutter also keeps his dead dad in a small baggie in the kitchen, nor that he's secretly the son of baldy OG Iron Man villain Obadiah Stane.
No way!
Yes way, because turns out his real name is Ezekiel Stane, and he totally hates his naughty baldy daddy who tried to kill Tony Stark in the first MCU movie back in the day, and that's why he can't be involved in all the illegal shit she's doing, in case it blows his cover identity and he ends up getting the Gina Carano treatment with the Disney Marvel fans starting to cancel him and stuff. But he eventually gives in, on the condition it doesn't blow back on him. And before you can say, well, lucky you're placing your trust in a super solid dependable who totally ain't a complete fuck up who fucked up 3 times in the opening 7 minutes of her first episode, the gang all meet up and dump their metal shit into a bag, whilst Riri covers up her transhumanist biomesh arm upgrades that's secretly concealing her laser cutters. So the team then get on with a heist, as Natalie guides Riri through a secret tunnel that emerges just under where the Hood fella has himself sneaked into using his literal invisibility cloak, what he presumably stole from that specky kid whose forehead was disfigured as a baby by a magical snake Nazi back in the day.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I'm a little lost, but fair enough.
Luckily, he's busy confronting Mason, which gives her a chance to chop off a bit of his cloak. But unfortunately, she forgot she was a total fuck-up, and the total fuck-up what can't stop fucking up totally fucks up yet again, when she uses the laser cutter too long and totally sets off the detection alarm that she went to all this bloody trouble to avoid.
No!
Meanwhile, Clown has started setting fires to Mason's greenhouses, which is the leverage they're hoping to exploit for him to sign over his company and assets to him, just like they did to that Sheila Zarati bird last epi. But also, unfortunately, Riri's alarm she triggered has now set off a site-wide lockdown, thereby trapping her own teammates inside to totally die in the fires that they themselves just set. And after Mason triggers the fuck out of Hoodie Boy by reminding him how useless he and his team clearly is, he turns invisible before she can finish cutting the chunk off his cape. But after killing Mason from behind like a little bitch, Riri finally gets a sample and tells her stalker to shut up about constantly worrying about her safety and just get on with saving her colleagues already, and totally cleaning up her messes after she just can't seem to stop fucking up.
Do it.
And speaking of, the fuck up extraordinaire somehow fucks up yet again when she tries to escape, but instead just runs straight into Cousin John with their boss's cape sample in hand.
Busted!
So after a brief tussle where he confirms he totally killed that bloke she replaced, who the cops were looking for earlier, she manages to get back into her super suit and just leaves the poor homicidal Johnny boy to totally suffocate in the sealed off greenhouse.
Oh, that's cold.
And after Parker demands she go find his missing Latino relative before they leave, she reveals that he's still in the greenhouse and totally dead, yo. But she totally had nothing to do with it, lol, trust me, bro. And just proceeds to have another panic attack when she gets back home after becoming a kind of sort of naughty murderer killer. Whilst Parker himself also has a freaking meltdown and proceeds to bollock his own costume, which then just conjures a vision of his cousin suffocating to death, with the Ironheart armour now ominously looming over him and stuff. And that's it, that's the third epi. Though my favourite part was when Riri's mum unnecessarily and rather rudely roasted the nice and polite Caucasian visitor to his face.
Can I help you?
Yes, good evening, ma'am. Is this the home of Riri Williams?
Daughter, why is there a sweaty middle-aged white man at my door?
I'm 36, respectfully.
Hate crime!
But anyway, on to episode 4. We start with Parker giving Riri the evil eye at his cousin John's wake, well given he seems to now know that she was the one what left him for dead after he tried to shank her after he found her stealing some of his cloak. Or some shit. Whilst a little later, said Riri bird tells the chocolate digi-ghost of her dead best friend all about the results of the cloak sample she's been studying and how it's made of no element currently known to man. And also about how she just knows that her pissed off employer is plotting something given the next level stink eye she was getting and stuff. And after lying to her mum about why she's acting so unhinged, and also locking herself in her bedroom with digital avatars of fucking dead teenage girls all the time, Natalie tells her to stop being so damn paranoid, thinking your criminal killer boss is going to come after you and your mum just because you messed with his drip, and also yeeted his Chris Brown looking woman abusing cousin. Because it was self-defence, yo, so shut up about it already. She then heads off to see Joe, aka Ezekiel Stain, but just finds the poor sod's been arrested by the filth, well given the tech he reluctantly gave her on the one condition she don't fuck up and leave anything incriminating at the crime scene that can lead back to him, has now been found at the crime scene and has instantly led straight back to him.
I knew it! I knew it! I knew it!
And now he's on the hook for black market weapons trading and straight up murder, after trusting a notorious fuck up who can't stop fucking up, even when she made a promise to totally not fuck up, and was even on her best behaviour.
That's what you get! That's what you fucking get, bitch!
Naturally, the rest of the gang are super happy that now some other fucker's going to take the fall for their naughty heist last epi, which ended in fire asphyxia and the snapped neck of a big tech CEO.
God damn.
Though Ezekiel himself's not best pleased to be fair, and totally bollocks her for fucking up when she explicitly promised she wouldn't, and hilariously just makes another promise to now get him out at all costs. Also naturally, he just can't trust her not to fuck up again, because for all he knows, he'll end up getting his cock blown off as she tries to bust him out with a suit or some shit. So just tells her to leave him alone so he can stay well clear of any more fuck ups around this clumsy and incompetent long lost daughter of Mr. Bean.
Yeah, that's probably good, yeah.
Later, Riri's butthole clenches super tight when Clown casually mentions how their now suspicious boss has hired a new tech specialist, and which presumably means that this constant fuck up's totally getting replaced real good and proper. And presumably rather fatally.
Oh shit, not good.
After telling her kind of sort of deceased robo-chum to knock off the cringy dancing already, she confuses her mama by giving her a special protection watch gift when it ain't even her birthday. And just can't believe it when a giant fuck off force field erupts around her after it hilariously reacts to the sound of gunfire on the TV. And now even the fuck up's wrist wear is fucking up.
No!
And after giving a fresh one to Xavier, She asks if he thinks that she's a good person or not. And before he can say, well, I guess so, Gil. Unless getting kicked out of school for helping others cheat their degrees for money, stealing high-tech MIT war suits, and joining a criminal gang where you steal, threaten and murder people multiple times a week would be remotely morally questionable, her mum sits her down and asks her what the fuck is going on that she needs to be given a dodgy watch that's more sensitive to mildly contentious TV than fucking Ofcom in the UK. But she just says nothing, bro. So her mum just takes her to her new agey woo-woo mates to get her mind and spirit cleansed. But just ends up falling through the fucking floor and into a parallel bubble dimension where everything's locked in a safe space and totally detached from reality. And yes, exactly like current day Reddit. Turns out this specky Zelma bird is one of them witchy poos studying at Dr. Strange's Hogwarts school for magical retards in Kamar-Taj, who's so powerful in her sorcery that she can only read basic tea leaves when tossing them around and vandalising local walls with them, and who soon confirms that the cloak sample is in fact a metaphysical material from a super dark realm, yo, and is also likely draining the life force from whomever is wearing it. So naturally, they tell him to sod right off and stop bringing super dark trash into their safe space. And they don't mean more African American fuck-ups. Her mum then gives her another right bollocking in the street after she manipulated her caring nature just to access her mother's witchy friends who could identify her special cloth sample. And just can't believe she's messing with dark forces and demonically charged criminal gang leaders on top of resurrecting their deceased loved ones in the form of a digitised kind of sort of ghosty ghouly spook, and then bloody defiling her memory by letting it do cringy ass dancing and shit. And just demands to know what's really going on already. But honourable protagonist Riri just goes ahead and lies again, and says it's all gravy, boo. Because it's totally normal for teenage college dropouts to suddenly become uber paranoid after getting a new job that pays out in huge cash stacks, and then ending their first week with one co-worker dead and another arrested for domestic terrorism charges. So chill the frig out, bitch. Elsewhere, Zeke is having problems of his own, and just can't believe a Harry Potter cloak cosplaying Latino with a shit haircut and dodgy acting has somehow apparated into his cell and is now offering him a chance to get back at that small chocolate fuck up or totally fucked everything up for him, and also get out of jail for a bit.
I'll take it.
Meanwhile, Riri rudely breaks into the secret bunker of the man she rudely accidentally framed and who's now going down for life on terrorism and murder charges, using a super secret key that's hilariously just hidden under the welcome mat, and spends a few hours experimenting on the cloak sample to figure out how to beat Parker, whilst also not tipping her Deliveroo driver.
Based AF.
But after coming up short, she has another panic attack after this fuck up realises she's totally fucked. Whilst the gang get busy busting Zeke out from jail, and the Iron Suit, currently possessed by the digital ghost of his long dead sister, kidnaps poor Xavier and dumps him in a local junkyard that Riri is hiding out at. Which feels kinda right, I guess, because it's exactly where you'd expect murdering thieving trash would feel right at home at. Cause turns out she's a typical woman and out here having an emotional meltdown, given it's that time of the month. But before he can make her feel better, and presumably also ask why her suit's gone full Ultron, and ain't it something to worry about, given who knows who else it's going to kidnap in the dead of night, he's shocked to see the ghoulish imitation of his deceased sibling politely attempting to introduce itself to him.
What the fuck?
Naturally, he's fucking outraged that she created a hologram in Natalie's image without getting any form of consent from her next of kin. Because he's seen that episode of Black Mirror where the busty lady creates a digital replica of a dead ginger fiancé, and it didn't bloody end well for anyone. And so pretending that algorithmic approximation is actually totally sort of alive in a similar way is super unhealthy, bro, and won't lead to anything remotely resembling mental health and well-being. So you're on your own, pal. And we end with Ezekiel shaving his noggin and undergoing such painful bionic upgrades that he has to bite down on a small spoon to distract from the pain of the procedure, and also presumably from the embarrassment of having a supporting role in Marvel's Ironheart show, well given he once led a bona fide Star Wars movie, whilst Parker then goes and finally puts a hit out on Riri. Cause being a total fuck up who fucked up his heist, his threads and his cousin, and then bloody lied about it to Boo, just ain't fucking on, son. And that's it, that's episode 4. Though my favourite part, well aside from randomly learning that the main college-age character is an involuntary celibate kissless virgin.
Come on, what happened? Did y'all kiss? Oh my god, this does not seem like the time to be making out. So you're just gonna die without having your first kiss, right? You know the goal is to not die.
Was Joe/Ezekiel listing all the key traits of the central protagonist, which these Disney writers seem to think is ideal to build a whole series around, and somehow totally makes her a hero to root for.
You're just a selfish kid who can't take any responsibility for herself. You lie, you cheat, you manipulate. You'll do anything you can to save yourself, even if that means hurting other people in the process.
Lol. Are we sure she's a protagonist? I mean, there's flawed heroes, and then there's straight up moral vacuums and bloody murder villains.
You must be out of your goddamn mind!
But anyway, that's the plot and that's your lot. Considering that bell thing, so you don't miss the roast of the last 2 epis when they drop. Tell me if you like this show in the comments if you have time, and I'll screw over a local Caucasian and kidnap my dead best friend's brother in the dead of night for shits and giggles with you in the next one.